Hi, all, Jess here. I'm following up with this video after the session that took place today, May 24th, 2018 in the Hub. It was an opportunity to review some of the new features that I've discovered in PowerPoint 2016. So when I started the session, I brought participants to this Google Doc and we reviewed the following learning outcomes. So in this video, I'll just go through the outcomes as they're listed here. We're going to look at combining existing presentations into one larger presentation. I'll show you some of the interesting translation features that are baked into PowerPoint 2016. In presentation mode, we'll look at features such as zoom and slide annotation. And then we'll get into PowerPoint Online, and I'll show you design ideas, a new design tool, how to collaborate and comment on PowerPoints if you're building them with more than one person. And then we'll look at this new interesting Morph Transition tool. On this website, you'll also find the links to the following resources. So I included some template websites, some how-to videos, as well as just a couple of my go-to resources when it comes to finding images and color schemes that work and look nice. So you'll find all of those linked on our Hub website, and you can also find them in this Google Doc, which I will link on the Hub website as well. All right, so let's get started. We're going to combine two existing presentations into one. So I'll launch PowerPoint, and I'll start a new presentation. So this is a feature that I stumbled on. It's not necessarily new, but it was new to me, so I thought maybe it'll be new to you folks as well. So on the Home tab, if I click once on New Slide, so left click one time, I can scroll down to this option, which is Reuse Slides. As soon as I click on that, this Reuse Slide window appears on the right-hand side. If I click Browse and File, I can actually look for PowerPoints that exist on my system. So I've got a couple saved on the desktop. So if I click on this space presentation, I get all of the thumbnails from that presentation, and all I need to do is left click on them once to pull them in. You can see that I can pick the order. I can go back to Browse, File again, find a new presentation, click on those, and there they are. And then from here, I've got one large presentation that I can modify, change the order, look at this. Oh, that's not what I wanted. Delete that. It's a duplication. So it's just a quick way to combine presentations. And it might be useful if, for example, you taught a course that had, 3 1-hour block sections last semester. This semester, it's scheduled as a 2 or a 3-hour block. And you want to extend your lesson but keep things clean and only have one presentation to anchor to, that's the idea there. All right, so we've covered that. Okay, the next thing I'll show you is the translation feature baked into PowerPoint. It's getting better. It's not perfect, but it's worth knowing about, I think. So with the Review tab selected, so left clicking on Review, you'll notice Translate 4 buttons from the left. You've got two options. You can select text and then translate the selected text into any of these languages. So there's quite a few to choose from. We stick with Italian. So there's the translation. I can even insert or copy. So if I insert, it goes right into the document where I had the selection. If I click copy, then I can actually create a new text box, copy it in there. So you could do it that way too. There's another option available that is a bit finicky and doesn't work as well, and that's this Review Translate Mini Translator. So the description is pause on words or selected paragraphs for a quick translation. Okay. But when I try to do that, I can find it somewhat difficult to bring the actual text up. See how it's there, but you have to hover over it to make it work. Once you get it working, it'll read you the English, like whatever the text is on screen, but it'll also provide you with a translation. And if you click on expand, it'll bring up that same translation. And sometimes, depending on the dictionary involved, it'll even give you some definitions. So when, in what context do you want to use when? So you can see the two uses and then plug them in accordingly. So somewhat useful, especially just for that, quick word check. I see students using this more in the sense of like, um, I don't recognize this term, or I don't know how to pronounce this term. Translate that for me into a language that I'm more familiar with, or read it out to me. I want to hear what this word is. Okay, moving right along. Let's look at the zoom and slide annotation features. So this is something that has been around for a while, but we might have been ignoring it to our disadvantage. So when I launch my presentation in presentation mode, either through this little slideshow icon in the bottom right, or up here through slideshow and play from current. So I want to show you this slide. Oftentimes in the classroom, you'll have two screens. One screen will be the presentation mode screen, and the other will have all of these interesting features available. I'll just show you this screen for now because if I right-click my mouse, I can actually access all of those interesting features right from this menu here. So the first one I'll show you is the pointer options. You've got a couple options available to you. You've got laser pointer, pen, highlighter, and then you can change the ink color. So laser pointer gives you just that. It's a laser. It doesn't stay on the screen. It just shows your mouse moving in real time. Perhaps more helpful is the pen feature. And again, I can change the ink color here. So if I want a green pen, change it there. So in this setting, you can actually, draw on screen in real time. I don't know how to play chess, but let's say that guy's gonna eat that guy. I know they're on the same team. That won't work. But what's cool about this is you can actually save these annotations so that when you share your presentation with your student, this becomes an object. So as soon as I hit exit from presentation mode, it'll actually prompt me. The prompt jumped on my other screen, but keep your ink annotations, keep or discard. If I say keep, then this guy appears as a little, basically an image. So that's helpful for students, I think, especially if you give them maybe the clean version of the slide deck and then the annotated version of the slide deck. That'll help them remember some of the processes that you're illustrating. If I go back into presentation mode and right click one more time, there's also this zoom feature. So you can see the more clear area is where you would zoom. You could zoom right in, and once you're zoomed, you can left click and drag to show the image in more detail. So if you're dealing with, complicated diagrams, this could be a really useful tool to help students focus in on what it is you're meant to be covering. Or even if you have very busy slides, sometimes the vendors send us really text-heavy, jam-packed slides. You can zoom in on certain areas of your slide deck to focus student attention a little bit better. Something that I forgot to show in the session earlier is this See All Slides. So See All Slides lets you quickly jump So rather than doing the frantic, hit the left or right arrows to get to the different slides, you can just see all and jump. So that can make things a little bit more seamless if you're jumping around in slides or, answering student questions at the end and they're bringing you to earlier points in the presentation. There's one more tool, but it doesn't seem to be available on this menu. Here we go. If I right click and hover over screen, I can black out my screen or white out my screen. And the purpose of this is to pull student attention away from the content on the slide and back toward you. So if I was standing in the front of a classroom and someone asks an important question or the class is getting a bit unruly, if I really want to drive a point home, I don't want them to be focusing on my little star guy. So I can just right click, kill the presentation, get the focus back on me, and then once they're ready to go again, right click, screen, unblack or unwhite, and we continue on with the presentation. So these various presentation tools combined can make you look like quite the all-star up there. That said, it came up in the session today that this somewhat tethers you to the front of the classroom, or at the very least tethers you to a mouse, right? Because I'm not using my keyboard for any of this, but I am using my mouse to right click and then select these options. So a wireless mouse might come in handy in this case. If you're comfortable lecturing up at the front, then this won't really impact your practice too much, but something to consider that I actually hadn't until a comment was made in the session. All right, so now we'll jump into the online version of PowerPoint and check out a couple of the cool tools that you can find in there. So if I Google Office 365 and find one that says login, top right corner, you'll see sign in. You're going to sign in using your Cambrian College email address. And then you'll select work or school account because IT has already created these accounts for us. So it's not a personal account, it's a work account. So click on that guy, enter your system password. So we've all recently updated our passwords. It will know your new password, not the old one. And then you can be prompted to remain signed in to reduce the number of times you have to go through this process. But I wanted to show you. So this is the main user interface. I've customized this little Lego so your interface won't have this cool funky design yet, but it can if you want it to. But you should see this stuff here. So install Office apps is the prompt to locally install Office onto a computer. These guys here are the online versions of all of these different applications. So if I click on PowerPoint, I'm running PowerPoint online. See? And it looks pretty familiar, right? You've got the standard templates. You can create a new presentation. Some of the features won't be here. It's a simplified version of PowerPoint, but it's got the basics. And at the present time, it's even got some features that are not available on your local install as of right now. So if I insert a picture, I'll do an online picture like this rose. Great. So let's stick that there. As soon as I insert a picture or a picture and image, on the right-hand pane, I get this design ideas prompt. And so it's just taking that image and stylizing it for me so that I don't have to. So that's pretty cool, right? So all of a sudden you've got something that could take you several clicks and fussing around to create. It's instant. This will work with any slide that is title and content. So Jessica, and I'll insert I like that flower. Let's do this. This will work with any image. It doesn't have to be one that you find online. So if you've got stuff that you've saved on your computer, you can use that too. And you can see that it'll design with my text and image. It's pretty awesome. And then I can add new media as required. So again, this just makes you look like you're a pro at PowerPoint without needing to spend all the time it takes to design pro slides, design ideas. It'll prompt you as you build your slide. So look for it on the right-hand side. That's one. The other benefit to working in PowerPoint online is that you can easily collaborate with others. So if I want to insert a comment, these comments will be available to anyone that I share this presentation with. And I can also work on this presentation along with other colleagues at the exact same time. So if you're co-delivering a presentation, rather than working from all these different versions and having to wait for your colleague to finish before you can start again, you can both be in there at the same time, collaborating. The best way to do this is share. So there's a share button up here. You can also go to File, Share. Same feature, it'll bring you to this exact window. You can send via link, or you can send through an email address. I prefer to take the link, copy it, and then embed it within an email, but it works just as well either way. And then when I open this presentation, I'll see these comments, and I can even reply. So you can get into a conversation. I can watch my colleague change slides in real time, all of that fun stuff. So that's pretty awesome. The last thing I'll show you is the new Morph feature. So Morph is a new transition. It's new to PowerPoint 2016. And what it does, I've mocked this up earlier, is it allows objects to basically look as though they're animated in the presentation. Very simple to build. All you need is a slide with stuff on it. I'll go back to my simple little rows here for the sake of time. So you build your first slide and you put the text and or image where you want it to start out. Right click and duplicate the slide. Move the image to where you want it to end, and then you just click Morph. You can change the timing, so this, less time means it'll move faster. And then when you play your presentation and you click Next Slide, things move around. If I click left to go back a slide, it's going to move back. So it doesn't seem like much, but if you check out the examples that I linked in this Google Doc, there are some awesome features. Like it's pretty cool what people are doing with this feature. And in terms of educational educational applications, I like this ability to really emphasize content on a slide. So he does it here. So you're pulling out key information. This example, that's sort of like the Remax air balloon. I liked this as well. So you've got terminology and acronyms. We love acronyms in education. So this is an opportunity to emphasize the acronym, the particular component parts of that acronym, expand it into a definition. And what it's doing is it's keeping your slides nice and clean, but also showing students where you're at in your delivery. So if you want to do that, super simple, and again, makes you look like a pretty big all-star. I'll leave it there for now. If you have any questions, pretty much anyone in the hub can help you with this sort of stuff. So come see us and bring your presentations that you want to beef up, or I call it zhuzh up. We can help you with that. We can look at different design options. Check out these awesome templates. They're very inspirational for me when I'm building something from scratch and I want it to look good. And other than that, if you have any questions or feedback, please use the feedback option on the website. Ciao for now.